Welcome to California Live podcast, Film Critics. And today I'm joined again by my colleague, Colleen. Colleen, thank you again for joining us, our team. How are
I'm
you
great
today,
and
first of
always a
all?
pleasure, Victor. Always. I look forward to our podcasts and our time together here. It's always interesting. It's something I learn something every time, and I think the ideas that come up are really fun to play around with. So,
Definitely. And I also I see that we create these film critics um, episodes a lot differently from
mhm,
the other media. It's more live. It's less of a promotion. It's real thing what people feel, or um, they have to present because they are connected to a
right,
project. So um, we've had so far two quite exciting episodes. One we talked about Oppenheimer, and then it became like a
yes,
competition with
yes,
the Barbie, which I found quite fascinating. And the other one was more of a cultural, spiritual ish because it was related to
right.
martial arts, and we've discussed Yip Men. So first, how did you feel those two episodes and our guest and the interaction?
Well, it's fascinating because with the our guest for Oppenheimer, he was very his name is Bill. Tell me his name again. Will.
Well,
Sorry, Will. Um, Will was very passionate about the part that he played in the movie and was also pretty myopic in his view of that versus any other film. And I I found it a little combative, but he everybody's do their opinion. We all have our opinions, and it did he had great energy. So I will say about Will is that there's never a dull moment when he's in the room and when he's on the screen. So he brought a lot of energy, and I appreciate that. And the energy and enthusiasm that one has for a project is what also creates the fire and the discourse, and if there's going to be something said. So I was taking the side of Barbie. Like, Oppenheimer was a great film, but I didn't think it was perfect. um I felt, as far as film as a whole, and everything that went into it and the message that it had, I felt more of a completeness with Barbie, and I related to that one a little bit more. So I kind of took the Barbie side of the equation, and we kind of went back to the old days of the Barbenheimer debate that happened, which was great for film back then. It really was. So it was exciting. I think that it was a long episode, but I think there was a lot to be said for what was learned during it, and everybody, we're just bringing our opinions and our feelings and our truths that we know of in this moment. So yeah,
yeah, I can agree more. I do love Will's presence and his passion and his
yeah.
hunger. I think that if we'd have Matt Damon or Robert Downey Jr. Discussing Oppenheimer, it's just one of the projects for them, and they'll be like, "Yeah, what film are we talking about?" They might even confuse because for them it's like
Yeah,
having breakfast, nothing really, nothing special. And for Will, it was
yeah,
a big deal, even though it's just one scene, but um, being in a historically important scene, even though it's just one scene. I would make more scenes with the general as a character if I were the director, because that general actually made quite a few
mm,
big decisions for the whole world. And I definitely feel his passion and
hmm,
defense for the project. Even though I agree with you, I do not see it. Well,
nothing is
nothing is
perfect. No.
perfect, right? So, but it does have a lot of room for improvement, and to show the whole topic of the
Yeah.
atomic bomb and this discovery and this impact. I would make it more dynamic,
Mm,
definitely, more of action. And if Christopher Nolan had a message
mm,
for the viewers, for maybe the youth, at least that's what I would
mm,
target, because that's
right.
our future. I don't think that they have the spin to watch that much and that long and that
Mm,
slow. you have to have, focus, and you have to have passion for
Right.
the story, and you have to have discipline. And I don't think the youth
It
really
was a
has
long
it.
movie, and like you said, it did start rather slow, on the slow
Yeah.
side, but it did have it had a lot going for it. What you were talking about having a message for youth, I got that feeling back in the day when the movie Saving Private Ryan came out.
Hmm.
That opening scene was so powerful. I can't tell you how long it was, if it was a minute long or a minute and a half or whatever, but within the first 20 seconds, I wanted to crawl out of my seat. I wanted to get up and leave. I found it so hard to stay and watch and be part of it because the way it was shot and the way it was done, it made you feel like you were in that scene, like that was all happening to you. It was very real, very live. And after seeing that movie, I thought, this should be a prerequisite for all kids in high school, juniors and seniors, to watch before they graduate, on the horrors of war and what it's really like. Not the glory, not, just a bunch of things happening in a foreign land to other people, but the reality of what it does to human beings. And I think that if we can use movies, this is a great way, to me, that movies can get messages across, about a variety of topics. So what you're saying about Oppenheimer, I agree. If I don't know that that was his agenda, on his agenda, or on his in his scope to create a message for young people, but it it would be great if there was more of that in the movies. It would be great if we saw, um, more movies that had that kind of message about, just teaching good lessons in life, and the realities of the world, and helping young people to get prepared. Because honestly, the movies that most young people watch, and we see this by the numbers, if you want to talk about, looking at the box office numbers that to give us a hint of what's really being seen out in the world, it's all the Marvel comics, it's all the heroes, the animated for the young children, younger kids, and then the Marvel and the DC and all that for the older youngsters. I say youngsters, everybody's young to me. But from say
Right.
25 to 14, that chunk, and especially the male, population, that is the people, those are the ones going out and seeing all these hero movies, and they're the ones raking in the dough. And then, of course, the younger kids. Like, I looked at the numbers for last year, of the
Hmm.
movies that were the highest grossing, regardless, just for the entire year, and they're all the animated. Inside Out 2 and Moana 2 and, um, Wild Robot was up there, and I forget now which ones. I made a list. But, I found
Hmm.
it fascinating what we are willing to pay to see versus what is what people call good film. Like, that's what the Oscars are about. The Academy Awards are supposed to highlight what we as a society, but the people in the industry specifically, view as art and a good piece of filmmaking. So interesting.
Well, I think that's a great point that you made about the animation. To me, animation, which I also started doing about 2 years
Yes,
ago,
that's right.
um, it's some sort of an escape from reality, which a lot of kids are kind of trying to accomplish, whether they are
Yeah.
on their phone scrolling or just hiding in their rooms. Um, that might be one of the reasons why these animated films or TV shows are doing so well. That's why I'm making one educational to get them off, all of these gadgets. And if, let's say
Mhm.
that's the truth, right? In this case, whether it's Oppenheimer or a film Reagan, right, another great historical film, they are not attracting that generation at all because they're
Right.
slow. They have no appeal unless the kid is really interested
Right.
in history. Um, and there's no age representation. That's another thing which I
Hmm.
wanted to mention to you. Um, remember the film which we're working on right now, based on 1986 historical event
Mm-hmm.
in the Navy.
Yes.
We created specifically teenagers and
Yes.
younger characters to have them attract the audience. I do not remember Oppenheimer having anyone of that age. The same thing was
No. Mm-mm.
with Reagan. Uh, and you see, I think in this particular way, Barbie won because they had this appeal
Yeah.
to the youth, and they have connected fake story, because a doll and animation, it's kind of
Right.
very close, into reality. I think that's one of the reasons why they've gained monetary success. I think, yeah, they didn't win the Oscar. Oppenheimer won, but they grossed the most
Yeah.
money.
No, as a matter of fact, Barbie, I'm going to find that because this is really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
Barbie, just printed this out. Okay, so Oppenheimer did 329 million
Hmm.
domestic, 645 million international, so a total of 975 million worldwide.
Right.
Barbie did 1,444,000,000 worldwide. So they definitely outgrossed Oppenheimer. But that is, they did that crossover, and it reminds me of one of the movies that I don't think that it's up for any awards this year, but that was doing very well in the box office, is the Mufasa 2. So we've
Right.
already had The Lion King, right? But it was an animated, and a lot of the
Yeah.
animateds are now crossing over into the combination of CGI and the animation and live action. Like they're
Yeah.
combining it all. And I think
Hmm.
that that has an appeal for people because now we're getting the adults more into it. Although adults have always liked animation. I loved Beauty and the Beast when it came out.
Yeah.
I was an adult.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that they're finding ways to reach more demographics with the animations and the animated stories. Yeah,
Right. Right.
and Barbie, to me,
Well,
Barbie
again, who,
exemplifies that. It's kind of a crossover.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, you know, who's paying for the tickets for
Well,
the
yeah,
kids? Also, the
exactly.
adults. You know, so if you can, if with the same kid you can bring more viewers in as their parents or their
Right.
family, you're just, improving the sales. Um, what do you think was the reason why Barbie didn't win the Oscar?
I almost think that people didn't like when you're dealing with animation in general, you're not typically dealing with topics that are considered adult topics or something that would be cerebral or important. I mean,
Hmm.
I think the Barbie topic was very important, but I think that in general, the Academy, the people who are voting on the awards, they like to think they like the intellectual side of things. In other words, they're going to vote for something that feels more intellectual, that feels more important, that feels more um, globally effective, or that it has a more global appeal than something that's not. I, and also, I think it depends on what things are up against. Like when Beauty and the Beast won Best Picture, it was the first animated movie to ever win Best Picture when it came out.
Hmm.
That was something new, and I don't think it's happened since. I'd have to check on that. I'm not an expert by this in any means. I just do my research right
Hmm.
before and see what I have.
Right.
But I
Uh-huh.
think that was one of the things that just when you're looking at something of the ilk of Oppenheimer and what it was talking about, the atomic bomb, and how important it was, and we are still, people are still alive, the generations that experience that are still alive in the world. So it's very real, it's very pertinent, and all that. And I think just up against Barbie, even though I think Barbie was done amazingly well with the music and everything in it, I don't know. I just think that it's more serious. I think the Academy likes to vote for things that are more serious dramas. You know. I mean, it's a simplistic way of looking at it, but I think that's true. If you look at the movies that have been nominated over the last few years, um, where they're not necessarily popular movies, they didn't do well at the box office, but if they feel like there's a lot of, I'm not even sure how to put this. It's if we feel like it's an important topic and that it was done well enough, then I think it makes it into the running.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I don't really, if we talk about the impact or
Mhm.
the global view, I don't think that as many people would know of Oppenheimer and that story behind, and Einstein,
Right,
as much people know about Barbie. And a lot of kids, let's say, right, or young adults, or teenagers who are or used to play with the Barbie, they don't really connect with the topic of
right.
war, especially in well-developed countries, because we didn't have war for quite some time, and even on the territory, right? So uh, uh, I'm not sure how the committee really votes, and what is
Yeah.
the age range again in that,
Mhm.
um, and between the judges, but I do think that they should definitely take into consideration the sales, because if the film is sold the best, it kind of is better. It is the best,
So you're basically
um,
saying the numbers
in,
don't
in
lie.
in multiple ways.
The numbers are about it's like
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
were willing to go pay to see this movie and often multiple times. So it's not even that it's that many people. It's like people are when the movie is really popular. I know I have friends that will go see it 2 or 3 times. They'll, because they will go with different groups. Oh my god, they'll say, "You haven't seen that? Well, I'll go with you. It was great. I'll see it again."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I went to see Once
Oh,
Upon a
I
Time
love
in
that movie.
Hollywood.
It
It's
is genius.
genius,
Yeah.
right? And just like I pointed out when we had Will, Quentin Tarantino, who is a mentor for me, who I haven't met yet, he has long scenes, long dialogues. It's long, but you never
Mhm.
feel the length. It's always somehow dynamic, and this is what Oppenheimer lacked, because it was just long and long. And I truly had the best nap of my life, and I was the one who contributed twice to this film's box office, because I went, okay, let me
Yeah.
try to still.
Yeah.
Fell asleep. Uh, Luckily, the second time I did wake up to see Will. The first time, I didn't mention it last time with Will because I know he would be upset, but I just slept through the whole film. But I didn't watch Barbie, but I don't think it would happen to the Barbie viewers.
No, no, it's very engaging. It's a very different visual experience too. Barbie is bright and
Yeah,
colorful, and there's
right.
singing and dancing, and the characters are vibrant. Like it has a lot of, and there's poignant moments. I cried during it. There are times when it really
Hmm.
is touching your heart, what you come to believe these characters have real feelings and what they're going through. And so there is catharsis with it, but it's also beautifully crafted. Like the production value, I thought, was gorgeous. The setting and the scenes, yeah, the production value was really well done. So yeah, it's hard to get bored, I think, unless that's just not your jam at all, and you don't like that, and you go in antagonistic. I think that just just because our brains are attracted to bright shiny objects on a screen, and that's what you're seeing in Barbie is bright shiny objects on a screen. So I think it has much more visual appeal than Oppenheimer did. Oppenheimer was about the story and the history and the man himself and how he was involved in the turmoil he went through, which I didn't. Yeah, I had my own opinions about that, but um Barbie is entertainment with a message, and that's some of my favorite kinds of movies, honestly, is that lifts me up, makes me feel good, but there's a message in it. So it's not all, rainbows and unicorns. Um, and yet it leaves you feeling uplifted when you leave the movie as opposed to a, Debbie Downer. That's just
Yeah, that's a great point. I've been, as I mentioned to you behind the scenes, I've been kind of trying to analyze the quality of the Oscars, and they went through so many great films. Like they had, when it was 2018, they had The Shape
mm,
of Water. They were the winners, but they had really, again, tough competition. Then in 2019, they had the Green Book. They won and they competed with Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Panther and The Star Is
oh
Born.
yeah,
All
great
those great
films.
films. Then we have 2020 with The Parasite.
Great,
It was actually
freaky great movie. It
uh,
was like one of those, what the heck? And yet it's so astonishing. It was definitely the surprise win, but astonishing movie. Yeah.
yeah, and yet they won. They were competing against the
Yeah.
1917. They were competing against Ford versus Ferrari, which
I
I
like
love
both of
that
those,
picture.
1917 and Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah. I
Joker.
didn't see Joker. I, if a movie looks too dark, it doesn't appeal to me. I don't need that.
I felt sick to my stomach, but I think it's a really good message. So people, maybe they don't comprehend
Mm,
the words that are coming out of my mouth in the film, but the
mm,
way you feel, and then you get the message maybe with a little bit
yeah.
of a delay. It was a great picture. And then
Mm,
Joaquin Phoenix, he
right.
won the best
Yeah.
actor. Well, he did fantastic. But they also competed with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah.
The Irishman,
I saw all of those
The
except
Marriage
for the Joker.
Story.
I didn't see the Joker.
It's Yeah, it's like the best of the best competing.
100%. So are you? Oh, keep
And
going. I'm sorry.
then
Don't want to interrupt.
the next one, we have Coda, which was powerful film. I think it's more of a documentary-ish.
Yeah,
I
I
might be wrong.
had problems with it. I know everybody loved it, and I couldn't finish it. I couldn't get through it. I tried like 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't.
Difficult to watch, but
Okay.
the message is there. I wouldn't say it's, in my humble personal opinion, is an Oscar
Yeah.
best film comparing to, let's say,
Right.
Irishman or it's um I would say not there yet, but somehow they won, maybe again because of the message. But they competed with the Nightmare Alley, with Dune, with
Mm,
um, quite a few decent films, but the competition wasn't the same as it
okay.
was last year for, that I mentioned, Once Upon a Time in
Right.
Hollywood and Joker, and that was like the fight, the war
Yeah,
between
it
the
really was.
titans.
It was a great year for movies.
And then we have 2023, which I know you have disagreed with me on everything, everywhere, all at once. They've competed with Top Gun, which to me is just an action film. I
Yeah.
don't really. Why is
I
it?
think there was a lot of nostalgia
Um,
involved in that. I think it got a lot of votes and people loved it because of the nostalgia involved. Um,
yeah, could
yeah.
be, makes sense. But also, they competed with the
Mm,
Avatar. They competed with Elvis, and to me, James Cameron and I don't remember who was the director of
yeah.
Elvis. Those were a lot more powerful than Everything Everywhere All at Once. With no disrespect to that film, good film. But you see, again, the competition was kind of weak. Let's say two, three films out of the whole film, of the
Mhm.
whole list of films, versus that list of
Right.
Irishmen
Where
and
they're
Once
all
Upon a
very
Time.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, to me, it weakens year by
You
year.
know, though, I'm going to point out
Um,
something here because I don't, in
mhm.
our previous discussions, I don't think we brought this up, and it just occurred to me. And all those films that you talked about as being so powerful, what year was that? 2019 with The Irishman and
Yeah,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and what year was that?
That was,
Yeah,
let me see. That was
2020. Okay.
2020.
There was
Well,
the
yeah.
2020 Oscars, but they were all made and they came out in 2019 before COVID. I think what you're seeing is the effect. So everything post COVID, 2020, 21, 22. Now we're getting more back to normal, 23 and 24, where I think the movies are starting to get a little stronger. But I think we went through a phase where um, Hollywood was recovering, and and from what you're saying, and if I were to, look at the movies you're talking about and what was nominated, I'm going to have to say I think that that had a lot to do with the quality, the quantity, and the quality of the movies that were coming out during those years weren't our normal level of greatness. What a best picture should be, what we all think of. What if it wins the Oscar for best picture? It needs to be stellar, right? It needs to be the epitome of what we think of makes good filmmaking. And um, what do you think?
Well, we can think uh, a lot of things. I don't see them coming back, to
Okay.
be honest with you. After those 2020 Oscars, we have less and less strong competition. The 2024 Oppenheimer, then we had Barbie, and then probably the American Fiction,
Yeah.
the three main, and the other
Oh
films on the list
no.
were like just not really that
No,
strong.
because did you see Poor Things?
I think so.
Okay, I thought that was a
Yeah.
phenomenal film. I just the visuals, the visualization, how they depicted the ideas they were trying to get across, and the world creation in that movie was unbelievable. I just thought it was so well done, and the direction and the acting. Was it Emma Stone, right? Who was
Emma Stone, yeah. Well, okay, if we add four, right? Oppenheimer. Again, it's
yeah,
four. Again, it's four
yeah,
versus all of them,
yeah,
right? It's like the prime
yeah,
league. You have to have all the best players, and it's like three, four, two,
yeah.
plus minus, right? Versus
Yeah, I
again the
thought The
2020.
Holdovers was a
Like
good movie. I don't know that I would have considered it an Oscar winner. I thought it was a very good movie, but not necessarily Best Picture. Um, Same with
and
Maestro,
what else?
Bradley
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Cooper's directorial, and playing the lead too. Um,
Hmm.
and that I think I just watched it not too long ago because I was trying to do my homework, and I wanted to the movies that I hadn't seen and that I had available to me. I wanted to just kind of see more of the range that was of last year's Oscar nominations, and I could see where that got nominated. It was a very well done movie, but not for everybody. Um, it was an interesting, like it was beautifully filmed, and a lot of very interesting choices that Bradley Cooper did that I appreciate. But I could see why it didn't win. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So do you think, like a lot of people have thought in the past, that especially when it comes to Best Picture and even the other ones, Best
Hmm.
Actor and all that, that it's more of a popularity contest, that the Academy makes choices based on who they think deserves it. Oh, they've been, nominated 6 times before. They should get it this year. Taking into account all the times they didn't get it, they go, oh, well, let's give it to them this year. Whether or not that year's performance was the actual best performance of the year. So do you think that a lot of what comes out is a little politicized and a popularity thing in the Academy?
Well, I would say that they definitely. I could feel the DEI, especially with the Everywhere
Mm,
All at Once. Um, Good film. Again, I'm not saying it wasn't good. Obviously, if it was a bad film, wouldn't be
yeah.
a nomination. But were they the strongest? I I
Okay.
don't think so. Um, just again, personal humble opinion. Um, it's really difficult for me to say based on what they make their decisions. I used to know one of the judges. He passed away, unfortunately, and he was in his late 80s, right? So his criteria, he was in Santa Barbara
Okay.
TV series, known all around the world. Old school quality, but it's a
Yeah.
different generation. Um, and we don't know about the
Yeah.
other judges. So what are they judging? What is the judging based on? Is
Yeah.
really difficult to say. Um, but definitely, I think we need better content, which indeed, the quality of the content of scripts drastically fell during COVID. I don't know why. The writers are just writing, right? Just keep writing, sit in your house
Yeah.
and keep writing. But we just have Rocky 10,
I
Creed
know.
11,
God.
uh, Mufasa 2. It's just
Yeah.
repurposing something that is sellable instead of,
They've been doing that for a long
I get
time,
it.
though, and that's the studios. So everything you're talking about, those are studio films, big studio films, where decisions are
Yeah,
made based on it made us money before. Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. Like if people are still
yeah,
coming to the movies and seeing Rocky 10, then we're gonna freaking make Rocky 10, right? Um, yeah, the whole they just don't. They're afraid of new ideas because they're untested, untried. They don't know, and because this is such a money making business, it's a big like millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a $1 billion business, and so I think that the people are afraid to take not completely afraid to take risks, but if there is something they feel is a sure bet, then they're more likely to invest in that. And sequels tend to have that quality to them where they feel they can look at something and point to something that happened before. It was this idea, same characters, same this. We're going to basically take the same thing and repurpose it. It's like recycling, all about recycling.
yeah. I would say maybe not the quality, because each sequel has a great first film, and then the
Right.
second, the third one are
Diminishing
like
returns. It's
just
like
for the
a,
sales.
yeah.
Yeah, just getting the sales. Um, I would agree with your statement that they are afraid, and I think the studios, they're becoming more and more just corporate letters of success for people who are jumping from one
Yeah.
studio to another. Um, I would give you an example: the collapse of
Mhm.
Paramount TV studio, and to me, it was fascinating. It's like, you with Paramount, with the name, how can
Right.
you fail? Is everything is online? And I read about um, this matter, and I think one of the executives that just caught my attention was someone who moved from Disney to Paramount. So it's just like the same people,
Mm,
just
sure.
changing their spots. There's no fresh blood in it. There's no hunger. There's no business. It's just employees, and he or she is trying to please
Hmm.
his boss, and his boss and his boss. So they are not making decisions. They're just
Yeah.
pushing the paper. And with this, do we expect something new and innovative? I doubt it.
Yeah.
And well, let's see what's happening with 2025. Let's touch the topic and leave it as a little
Well,
cliffhanger.
because we don't know till we know, right?
Exactly. So for 2025, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, The Dune Part Two, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, and Nickel Boys, and Wicked. Have you
I
watched any
have
of these films?
watched, I wanted to see A Complete Unknown yesterday and I ran out of time. I couldn't do it. I saw Conclave. I saw Dune Part 2.
Mhm.
I saw Amelia Perez. I saw Wicked. So of those,
And how strong are they?
I think Wicked is very strong. Um,
Hmm.
I've had friends come out feeling like it was life changing for them. It had it has for some the impact that I feel like Hamilton had on me in musical theater because it was so new, so innovative, using a whole new genre of uh, a new way to see the genre. And
Hmm.
they just did some amazing, beautiful things with Wicked, and it was very, very well done. The acting and everything. So I probably, of everything that I saw, I would probably vote Wicked as the best movie. Conclave was so well acted. Uh, let's see, he's up for Best Actor. Yeah, Ralph Fiennes is up for Best Actor for
Hmm.
that role, and he did a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous job. So I would definitely vote for him. I wanted to see Timothy Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, to see him do Bob Dylan, because I think that would be amazing. He's also Timothy Chalamet is having a year because Dune 2 and then The Complete Unknown coming out, both up for a lot of awards. So he's doing quite well this year. And Dune Part Two, I thought had some great special effects. I don't know if a Part Two, like having something split, a story split into two like that, and having Dune Part One, and then a few years later having Dune
Right.
Part Two, it feels incomplete. Like I don't want to give the second
Hmm.
part. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't feel right to me. Like it was part of the story. It wasn't the whole story. And yeah, even though it was a great film and done well, and the special effects and the directing and all that, I just didn't feel. It doesn't feel like I would want to give it that Oscar. What about you? What did you see? What did you
Um,
like?
can't agree. I haven't watched anything. Um, I've read the
Okay.
description, brief description. I've checked the trailers. Wicked did appeal to me. I
Yeah,
would want
it's
to watch it.
great.
Maybe the substance. I don't know. I thought that in what I saw, Demi
Yeah,
Moore
she looked.
delivered quite.
I only watched the trailer, and again, I don't like scary things. So, anything that I look if I watch a trailer or I hear about a movie that sounds a little too, I don't want to be scared. It's just how it is.
That's another thing. Yeah,
It's the
the
genre.
genre. I don't know if the
I don't like horror
yeah.
movies. I can do a thriller, but yeah, it's just not my genre. But I hear she does
Yeah.
amazing. I hear it's really phenomenal. So yeah.
Well, Demi Moore. And what actually caught my attention, not the films. Um, we've all watched the Olympics in France and the controversial thing between having a possibly male boxer boxing against the
Okay.
female boxers. And I have no proof whether it's truth or not true. I didn't go and
Okay.
touch and see, right? Um, but what caught my attention is for Emilia Perez, we have nomination for Carla Sofia
Yes.
Gascon, and Carla used to be a he. I don't know what type of a transition or what's the thing behind, but I would like to discuss this topic with you, not just from a professional perspective, but also you are
Mhm.
an actress, and I would love to hear your opinion about having these
Okay.
changes in the competition between actresses. Um, to me, and that will be probably the last thing that I would add. There was a film in which Mel Gibson played. He became a woman, and he could hear what
Oh, What Women Want or
ladies
something like
think.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, and
What Men, I
that
forget
was
what it
kind
is.
of a male actor playing, becoming a
Right.
lady in the film.
That's been done a lot,
But
by the
hey,
way.
they didn't compete for any. Yeah. Now, to me, this change is a little bit different, and I would love to discuss it with you, but in the next episode, so that we don't show all the
Okay.
cards to the audience and
Yes.
keep them
Yeah.
interesting.
No, I'm looking forward to that because I did see the movie, and so and I didn't know what you just brought up as I was watching it. I was not aware of that. I was just watching somebody acting, right? I was watching a performance, somebody playing a role, and that's my takeaway. So this will be interesting, Victor.
Well, it definitely will be. It is. So you guys stay tuned and make sure to check back on our discussion of the upcoming 2025 Oscar and all these interesting details, which are adding up to not to the content of the film, not to the quality of the film, but to the
Well,
politics of the film.
it's also, we aren't, as a society, we're not just in love with the films themselves. We're in love with the actors and the intrigue and all of the things that go on behind the scenes. So I think people are is as interested in that as they are the films themselves. Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned and make sure to not miss our next episode, in which we'll discuss all these things. And as always, we will we'll
Yeah,
hope for
sounds
the
great,
best.
Victor. Look forward to it.